Hey everybody, First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here. I'll do a quick update on the severe weather threat which is heading our way for Thursday. Thought I'd do a little different shot. This is our new weather center. If you haven't seen our new set, kind of a different location to do these updates. I'm going to show you the monitor, but I can also take this full screen, which will be nice. We can kind of go back and forth between the two. First part of this setup for Thursday is going to be this severe weather setup. So this is today's threat. You could see that low end risk back towards the southwest, but let me advance this to tomorrow. So this is going to be Wednesday. You could see that threat here across Mississippi, parts of Alabama, up into Tennessee. We're on the very outside of that. So I don't anticipate any severe weather on Wednesday. It's really Thursday that we're focused on. And you can see the threat, that medium threat right now for areas around Charlotte, everything in orange here under that medium threat. And then you can see the low end threat back towards Morganton, Taylorsville, Hickory, Statesville area. And this is for Thursday. So a big chunk of our area under that severe weather threat. Now, severe weather gets all the excitement, but honestly, to me, the biggest concern I have is honestly the flash flood threat, because the setup I'm seeing is something you don't normally see in February in particular, but really around here any time of the year. It's more typical of what we'd see during tropical season. So this is the flash flood threat for tomorrow. So this is Wednesday. You can see the western Carolinas, including the Charlotte area, starts to get into the low end risk. This medium threat starts coming up into our area, but look what happens on Thursday. So we've got the medium threat for severe storms, but we've got a high risk for flash flooding, and this is because of the potential of some really heavy rain moving into the Carolinas. That potential is pretty much off the chart. So I'll show you that full screen real quickly here, and you can see that huge threat for heavy rain. And again, you're talking about areas back here in the mountains and foothills in particular, but that's an area where I'm really concerned about not only flash flooding, but maybe some landslides or rock slides, because anytime you see this type of setup with very heavy rain into the mountains, you always worry about that potential for some heavy rain. So this area in particular is the area we're watching very closely as we go into Thursday. So let me kind of show you some of the ingredients going into this. One of the primary ingredients is going to be right here, and I'll show you this. This is this atmospheric river we talk about. And if you've never heard this term, well, this happened a couple times with Florence and Matthew. We had a flow of moisture coming into the Carolinas that helped enhance the flood threat. This happens a lot with some of the El Nino storms they get out in the Pacific and in parts of California, where they just get this huge, what's sometimes called the Pineapple Express out there, because it comes from the deep tropics. But you can see the origins of this way down here. This is off the coast of Mexico, coming across central Mexico, back through the Gulf of Mexico, and up into the Carolinas. And atmospheric moisture is a term we actually refer to as precipitable water. It's how much moisture is in the column of the atmosphere. So imagine from the bottom to top of the atmosphere, you have enough moisture to squeeze out 2 inches. Well, if you squeeze out 2 inches, you're done. The problem is when there's an atmospheric river, that 2 inches is constantly being replenished. So it's like having a sponge, squeezing it out, and then getting another 2 inches, squeezing it out, another 2 inches. So when you get that flow of moisture, you can get rainfall rates 2-3 inches per hour, and that's certainly the concern. And when you see that ramped up against the mountains, which will further lift the air, that can cause additional problems as we go into Thursday. And that sits right over us most of Thursday and then moves out. Then the severe weather aspect of this is something we refer to as the low-level jet. This is the winds at about 5,000 feet above our heads. And when you look at this, I mean, it's off the charts here behind me. You can see that strong flow of air at about 75 to 80 miles an hour. Now that's at 5,000 feet, and the first thing people say, well, we're not going to see those winds at the surface. Obviously not, but when you get thunderstorms that are 25,000 feet tall, they mix those strong winds down to the surface. So you can see 50, 60 mile an hour winds down at the ground. So combine the rain and the heavy winds and heavy rain, you get trees coming down. And that doesn't even take into account the potential that there could be possibly some tornadic storms. I'm not going to rule that out, but as much as the tornadoes get all the publicity, it's really the strong winds and the rain, and you can see that pushing out of the area. So if I were to break this down by category of threat, this is pretty much what we have behind me. You can see the damaging wind threat is in the medium range. Hail threat, this isn't a real big hail setup. The flooding is by far the highest threat, and I'll pop that full screen because looks like our webcam is kind of out of focus there. Tornado threat, while it's not zero, it's pretty low. Now this is the one thing that could go up or down, based on what we see. We could see this tornado threat right here go up or down if we see increasing instability, which is low-level warm air, and maybe even some thinning of the clouds. We don't need sunshine. This time of year, it doesn't take a lot of warmth. Because the atmosphere is so dynamic with wind energy, it doesn't take a whole lot of energy to cause some issues. So timing of this all Now, this is a huge, gigantic caveat with this when I show this chart, because the timing this far out, we can't be super accurate with this. Precision isn't the same as accuracy. So I don't like being like precise with this, because this could fluctuate by a couple hours, and also some threats could go up or down as things unfold. But a general timing of all this is pretty much in the morning. I expect there to be really heavy rain, and then as we go into the afternoon, that heavy rain will increase, and the peak of this, as far as flooding and severe weather, looks to be middle of the day into Thursday night. The reason that that's the peak of this is because, you know, if you think about the max heating of the day, and also the fact that it could be raining most of the day, the flood threat will get worse as the day goes on, and the severe weather threat will increase as we see some heating of the day. So the potential is there that you're going to see that happen. So if I'm looking at a worst case scenario, I'm looking from about 10 a.m. to about 11 p.m. And notice the flooding and damaging wind threat is the highest, and we don't have much in the way of, you know, tornado threat, at least right now. So let's just get to the Futurecast, because to me, this is what everybody wants to see. They want to see, you know, how much rain are we going to get. So let's take this full screen. And what I'll do is, as I'll go step by step through this so you can kind of see this. So this is tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. There'll be some showers around. Not going to say there's not going to be rain tomorrow, but notice how scattered it is as we go through the day. Watch as things get worse. It's really Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Look at the heavy rain coming in about midnight Thursday. So there's your heavy rain. You see the heavy rain around. And this whole time, remember, we're just seeing, you know, tons and tons of rain in this area that's really saturating the soil. All the creeks and rivers are pretty high right now. 4 a.m., heavy rain over us, maybe even some strong storms. The morning commute on Thursday looks like a complete mess right now. That's just some real heavy rain. Then we go into the afternoon. It looks like things try to lull or break down for a little bit. The atmosphere kind of regroups, and then the main cold front starts moving in from the west, and we get round number 2. Okay, this starts setting up to the mountain. So this is where the severe weather threat starts picking up. Now remember, we had all that rain in the morning, so everything's completely saturated. So this additional rain is really where the problems start arising. And on top of that, we could have straight line winds in there. If you look at the way this is setting up, this is one of those QLCSs, squiggly squall lines. So you're getting strong winds at the very least, and the potential that you're going to see maybe some embedded tornadoes in there. So I'll advance this further into a Thursday afternoon. So the Thursday morning commute is wet, and the Thursday afternoon commute is going to start wet. And then I stop it right here because I've got some Boeing segments in here. I've got all kinds of little squiggles in here. That looks nasty. That's straight line wind damage and embedded tornadoes possible. So 2 waves, one in the morning, and then the second one in the afternoon and evening. And then notice how it marches across the Piedmont. Look how slow it is too. This isn't a fast moving system. The fact that we have 2 waves should tell you it's going to be slow moving, but then the fact that it's going to take probably until midnight Friday to finally clear out of here, and not until you wake up Friday morning will this mess be calming down and then pushing off to the east. And then on the back side, you see that cold air spilling in. Yeah, that's some snowfall up in the North Carolina mountains. So you kind of get the idea. It's going to be a mess on Friday. And on a day like this, where it's in February, most people don't anticipate severe weather. Some of this is going to happen early in the morning. Some of it's going to happen with not really warm temperatures. I mean, it's going to be in the upper 60s, but we typically associate severe weather with really warm, sunny weather first. We're not going to need it in this setup. The wind energy, the jet stream, in the upper levels, mid levels, and low levels of the atmosphere is so dynamic that you don't need a ton of warmth. You can get severe weather with a whole bunch of heat and a little bit of shear, or a whole bunch of shear and a little bit of heat. This case, it's a whole bunch of wind shear and a little bit of heat. They have to just equal something. You can have more of one than the other, these ingredients. They don't have to be about the same. In this case, usually in the spring and summer, we have a whole bunch of warmth and heat and a little bit of wind shear. And in the wintertime, we always have tons of wind shear. We just don't have this little bit of warmth, which we have going into Thursday. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of this, breaking it down for you as far as timing is concerned. I would just be weather aware for sure on Thursday. And what I'll do over the next 24 hours, I will continuously try to update this chart right here and adjust the timing. I'd love to be really specific. Like I know my Facebook feed is probably lighting up with questions. What about this time? What about this threat? I can't be that precise right now. This is such a multifaceted, several wave over a large area that pretty much all day Thursday you got to be weather aware. But I will say there's a morning wave and an afternoon wave. So there's two distinct waves. And again, all of them causing flooding. If the tornado threat goes up or down, it's primarily going to be with that afternoon wave. So if you're concerned about tornadoes and severe weather, it's really the afternoon. We could see flooding in the morning, but the fact that the second wave is going to be after that first wave, flooding also is going to peak in the afternoon as well. So hope that kind of helps you get you ready. I will do another vlog tomorrow morning. We'll do updates tomorrow, and then Thursday we're going to have team coverage. We're going to have crews in the mountains, foothills, Piedmont. We'll have you covered throughout the day. Just to prepare for this now, if you live in a low-lying area, make sure you're ready to go to higher ground. If you live in an area that has big trees that are close to the house, you may want to think about Thursday, maybe not sleeping on that side of the house, just maybe not park the car under that tree. Think about those things, because once the ground gets saturated and we get these high winds on Thursday, that's usually when we see trees come down, and we could see power outages in that case as well. So make sure you're charging everything up. Have a flashlight. Take your phone. Charge this thing up completely Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Leave it plugged in. Crank up the volume and make sure you have our app. And make sure you have the alerts turned on. And again, we only alert for where you are, your physical location. You can go into the app pretty easily. Either the WCNC, weather app, which is WCNC Charlotte, or our WCNC News app. If you go into the notification settings, you can pick your home address or whatever location you want, and we only send you alerts for that location. So I'll leave you with that tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Again, we'll do updates throughout the day tomorrow and into Thursday. I'll try to go back through my feed and we'll check out any of the questions. Have a great night, everybody.